food travelers. I'm Micah.
And I'm Simon.
In this episode, we are comparing the 3 top buffets in Las Vegas, and they are Bacchanal Buffet at the Caesar Palace, Wicked Spoon at the Cosmopolitan, and the Buffet at the Wynn.
Yeah, Micah. We went to these locations all within about 3 months, and so we thought, hey, it might be really helpful to kind of put what we thought was the best, and hopefully it'll help you guys decide where you want to go to have, your Las Vegas buffet, which is something that's a must when you are here. And don't forget to watch all the way through the end, and you'll see where our rankings are.
And to start off the video, we're going through the walkthrough and in the Bacchanal.
Yeah, we wanted to show you guys kind of, how it looks like to go through and go to each station and kind of what they offer. And one of the things that I do love about Bacchanal is the selection they have, which is awesome.
I agree. I think Bacchanal has the most hot stations that were available while we went through all these different buffets. I remember Bacchanal has something like 9 stations.
And one of the things about these stations is that you can see they're nice and full. And when it starts to kind of get empty, they'll fill it up pretty quickly. So they're always kind of watching how the presentation of each station is, which I think is something that is absolutely fantastic.
I agree. I think that is a top choice about Bacchanal, where they're always full in their stations.
And to kind of wrap everything up, there's some pros and cons, and as you can see, the quality of the ingredients is probably one of the best on the strip. As mentioned before, the large variety of the selections.
And also for the cons would be the time limit. There's only 90 minutes, and there's longer lines in comparison to the other buffets. So you definitely want to make a reservation prior to coming to the Bacchanal. Otherwise, you'll be standing in line forever. The other thing is Bacchanal does have a higher price in comparison to the other 2 buffets that we're comparing in this video.
So yeah, keep that in mind that, if the budget allows, then definitely Bacchanal is a good choice. But of course, it is a lot more expensive. So the next buffet is the Wicked Spoon over at the Cosmopolitan.
Yeah, Wicked Spoon has been one of our favorite buffets for a very long time.
And similar to Bacchanal, there's a good size here. There's a lot of stations. They do also use quality ingredients as well. Great seafood selection, and also a great dessert selection.
Yeah, what I really like about Wicked Spoon is the items. I feel like it's kind of like a more culinary items. They're a little bit smaller dishes. They're kind of created like a spoon size, as Wicked Spoon has that spoon logo, so it feels like it's just created just for a spoon bite.
And one of the things I remembered, at least prior to this visit, was the bone marrow, and it used to be really, really good. Unfortunately, somehow they changed kind of how they prepared it, and it wasn't quite as good as it was in the past, so that was something I was kind of disappointed with.
Yeah, I totally agree with Simon there. The bone marrow was my favorite item at the Cosmopolitan for the very longest time. They used to create the bone marrow with a lot more char to it and how it's prepared, and also had like bread or even crackers to eat with the bone marrow with, but unfortunately it's changed now and it's not the same as it used to be.
Yeah, they ended up kind of removing a lot of the basics and decided they wanted to kind of top it off with some shredded beef on top, and it just kind of changed the dynamics, and it wasn't the same. And so not what I wished visiting here again after it's been a while.
And another thing to note is from this visit, it didn't seem like the stations were as full as it used to be.
Yeah, it seemed like they were still kind of, as you can see, there's an empty spots. They were still kind of get everything up and running to full capacity, but they weren't quite there yet. And that kind of makes sense, since even their hours of operations weren't quite as long as a full day's worth.
Yeah, I believe it's now only lunch and breakfast. In comparison to when we used to go, dinner was also open. And since this is walk-in only, it seems like there's less people overall.
Yeah, and so for the pros of it, it does have a bolder selection of food. You can see they kind of add some spices. They're spicy foods that is not quite the same as other buffets, and so if you enjoy that, that's definitely something they'll kind of enhance that little food selections you have. And again, as mentioned before, there's a large variety of selection.
And in this last buffet, we're headed to the buffet at the Wynn. This one is a little different with the layout. The seating area is separated from the buffet, so you don't actually see everything right in front of you while you're eating, which can be nice in a way. It kind of feels like you're in a sit-down restaurant.
Yeah, which is kind of different because you kind of have your standard buffet where you're kind of sitting in a pretty large room and you kind of see everybody going up and grabbing all the different foods from the different station. But in this case, you kind of feel like you're kind of away, and especially for conversations with anybody you're with, it's a little bit easier to speak with them as you're not getting all the all the different actions of people buffeting all around you.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice part of this restaurant. And also, sitting in the atrium area where we were at, you have the natural light coming in through the skylights, so it feels nice. It feels like you're getting your vitamin D as well.
Yeah, and one of the things, it's a smaller buffet section, so they still offer a good amount of selection, but just not as quite as you would find over at Bacchanal or Wicked Spoon. So if you do want more selection, you won't quite find it here. However, one of the things they do very well is they actually provide other items that the other places don't quite offer as well. As you can see, there's a crepe station that the other two buffets don't have.
Yeah, I agree. I think the crepe station was one of my favorite parts of this buffet. And also with this buffet, they also do have a pre-paid reservation, which is really nice. So you get to skip the lines and be guaranteed a table.
Yeah, for me, one of the things I really enjoyed was the gelato they provided at the dessert station. Compared to all the other three, that was probably one of my favorite gelatos. I had gelato at all three places, but this one, there was a freshness. It was sweet without being too sweet, and it had that nice texture that was nice and soft, and what kind of expect from a really good gelato. So definitely for me, this was one of my favorites.
And since we did come here for early dinner, one thing I really appreciated with this restaurant was that it's not all just lunch items that you see in other buffets. They actually take out a lot more dinner items, and you get to see the difference.
And so the pros, it wasn't quite as crowded as the other two. It's a smaller venue, but it's still not tiny, so it's a good size still. And the other pro is that it has that unique layout where you are separated from the main buffet area, and so if you want kind of a different experience than your typical buffet, it's a nice thing to do.
And the cons are smaller selection of foods, and as you saw in the video, there are some empty food stations as they are ramping back up to what's normal.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll get there pretty soon and have that beautiful full buffet look that everybody loves seeing when we come and try out different buffets. So in this part of the episode, we actually wanted to kind of show a side-by-side view of all the different foods, so you can kind of get a good look and see them right next to each other to kind of see, okay, which one looks better than the others. So Michael, what are some of your favorite ones?
Yeah, for Wicked Spoon, I really enjoyed the desserts and also the meats. I thought they had a good selection of the meats and the qualities that they had there. How about you?
Kind of similar. For Bacchanal, I prefer, I think, their seafood items the most, and I think for Wicked Spoon, I actually preferred their kind of meats, if you're talking about fried chicken or prime rib, things like that. And over at the buffet at the Wynn, that one I actually like their desserts best than the other two.
Oh, that's interesting you say that. Yeah, for the buffet at the Wynn, I believe the crepe station, as mentioned earlier in the video, that was definitely my favorite one, or favorite part of that buffet. For Bacchanal, I really like their watermelon mojito. If you guys have watched the review on that video, you see that one in more detail. I also really liked the corn station at the Bacchanal. I thought that was definitely different. What are some of the dislikes that you had for these buffets, Simon?
There are a few items. I think one of the items I didn't like from Bacchanal was actually the duck wing. It was really tough. I took a bite and I almost felt like I couldn't even bite through to get the meat, and it just wasn't what I expected. It was kind of a rare item in terms of something that wasn't quite too hard than what you expected, but it happens. What about yourself?
Yeah, for Bacchanal, I didn't like the desserts part. I feel like in comparison to the other two buffets, they kind of lacked in that dessert section. Also, I feel like their poke bowls were not as fresh, or the way it was prepared, the rice was just not soft.
And I don't want to pick solely on Bacchanal. So for actually Wicked Spoon, as we mentioned before, the bone marrow, that was just a disappointment from what they had before. And to kind of wrap up the third part, I actually did not like the pre-cut crab legs over at the buffet. I just kind of felt that the flavor, it wasn't fresh tasting to me, and they kind of seemed like this kind of plastic synthetic taste to it. I don't know if it was just me, but that's just how I felt at the time.
Yeah, I think for the Wicked, as mentioned, as what Simon said, the bone marrow is not the same anymore. It's just disappointing. Hopefully they improve on that. I mean, that used to be our favorite item there. And then as for the buffet at the Wynn, I actually did not mind the crab legs as much, because they do have a cold and a hot station for the crab legs. I feel like probably their Asian section could have been improved.
And it wasn't so much all the crab legs were bad. I just didn't like the pre-cut half ones, so the colder crab legs. If you went for the other steamed crab legs that were hot, that was much better. And to wrap up the episode, here are our rankings for the three buffets.
The first one goes to Bacchanal Buffet at Caesar Palace.
Yeah, Bacchanal is it's the most expensive of the three, but you're gonna get that quality and you're gonna get that options for a whole bunch of different type of foods.
The most variety, the best surface, the pride in surface. I think Bacchanal does deserve that number one spot. And moving on to number two, we have Wicked Spoon Buffet at the Cosmopolitan.
And yeah, just kind of a close second. Wicked Spoon, they're not quite up to par 100% operational wise, but I think they'll get there with time. They do provide a good amount of different foods to get. The quality is still pretty good, just not quite to the level of Bacchanal, but pretty close.
And number three goes to the buffet at the Wynn.
The Wynn, with their unique layout of their buffet, is definitely a different atmosphere. So if something you want is a little change, a little bit more conversational with people that you're eating with, then that's definitely a place that I would recommend.
And to support our channel, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for the YouTube algorithm. And for more photos, follow us on Instagram. See you guys on the next episode.